Beaten and wounded, they tossed the poor human mechanic in their deadliest dragon cell. Beginning, the scrap worker of Sector 9. The clang of metal rang through the dust-choked air of Nova Dural, a scrapyard colony orbiting the dying star Charis 4. Humanity, once spread gloriously across thousands of worlds, now labored under the rule of the Draker Dominion, a hybrid species of scale conquerors born from the fusion of dragon DNA and cybernetic technology. Their wings were metal, their eyes optical lenses, and their hearts ran on both plasma and fire. Among the slaves that kept their warships alive was a young human mechanic named Elias Wren. He was small, thin, and perpetually covered in grease, but his hands could fix almost anything. The other slaves joked that he could coax a reactor back to life with a whisper. For 10 years, Elias worked the midnight shifts under the fluorescent haze of the Dominion's factories. His pay was survival. His reward was breath. Humans weren't citizens anymore. They were property, expendable like the metal they repaired. Every evening, after his shift, Elias returned to his small metal hovel, where he had something forbidden, a tiny holographic cube, flickering weakly with the last recorded image of his sister, Amara, taken before the Draker invaded Earth. She had been just 8 years old when the skies burned red, and the dragons descended. Elias never saw her again, but the cube kept him alive. Still, on nights when the air vibrated with the sound of Dominion's patrol wings overhead, even hope felt like a dangerous luxury. That night, as he tightened the plasma conduit under the belly of a Draker warship, a harsh voice rasped behind him. "Human, you've been tampered with Dominion assets." Elias froze. He turned slowly to find Commander Vexer, a towering Draker with silver scales and a mechanical tail. The commander's molten eyes glared down at him. "I know, sir," Elias stammered, "just repairing the engine's flux chamber as ordered." Vexer leaned closer. "You modified it. Our sensors detected efficiency spikes beyond human capability. What are you hiding?" Before Elias could answer, a metallic claw smashed into his stomach, hurling him into a wall. The pain ripped through him like fire. He coughed blood onto the steel floor. "You dare tamper with our war technology," Vexer hissed, "perhaps sabotaging it for your dying kind." Elias tried to speak, but the words drowned under another blow. The other Draker guards circled him, jeering, their wings folding like knives. When he lost consciousness, he saw only the faint shimmer of his sister's hologram in his mind, and the sound of dragons roaring in distant hangars. Middle, the dragon cell. When Elias awoke, the air was heavy with sulfur and heat. His wrists burned, bound by magnetic cuffs. The ground beneath him wasn't metal. It was stone, scorched black and cracked by claws. He raised his head slowly. He was in a cell, but not an ordinary one. High above, glowing red sigils pulsed on the walls, and molten light flickered through cracks in the ceiling. The scent of charred bone filled the air. He heard a low, guttural breathing echo through the shadows. They tossed a human into the dragon cell. A voice muttered from the corridor beyond the bars. "Let's see how long he lasts." The dragon cell. Every slave knew the legend. It was said to house the Dominion's deadliest biological weapon, a prototype dragon bred from human and Draker DNA. An experiment that had gone wrong. Too violent to control. Too powerful to kill. They called it Zereth. Elias's breath caught as he saw movement in the dark corner of the cell. Two massive eyes opened, gold luminous, filled with an ancient, wounded intelligence. The creature uncoiled itself, metallic scales shifting and grinding. It was enormous, its wings torn and patched with cybernetic plating. Tubes and wires ran along its body, connecting flesh to machine. When it spoke, its voice echoed like thunder inside his skull. "Another sacrifice," it rumbled. "Another human to burn." Elias pressed back against the wall. I'm not here to hurt you." The dragon's mechanical jaw clicked as it tilted its head, studying him. "All who enter here wish me dead or fear me dead. Which are you, human?" Elias swallowed hard. "Just broken, like you." For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then a low growl of curiosity. "Broken," the dragon repeated. "They broke me too." Over the hours, maybe days, Elias spoke to the dragon. Its name was indeed Zereth, once bred as a war beast capable of controlling plasma storms. But when Zereth refused to burn the last surviving human colony, the Dominion branded it defective and locked it away. Elias listened, repairing his strength, binding his wounds with strips of his torn uniform. In return, he told Zereth stories of Earth. Blue skies, rain that smelled like clean metal, and a place where dragons lived only in myths. The dragon seemed to hum with quiet wonder. "They say humans are weak," Zereth said one night. But your stories burn brighter than any fire I've known. It was then that Elias realized something. Zereth wasn't just alive. It was wired. The same neural tech Elias used to repair engines ran through the dragon's body. With access to those circuits, maybe, just maybe, he could override the locks on the cell. The escape. When the guards brought food, half-burned protein slabs, they never noticed a tiny magnetic chip Elias stole from the tray. Over the next few days, he used it to tap into Zereth's neural ports while pretending to polish the creature's scales. Hold still, Elias murmured. If I can reconnect your dorsal conduits, maybe I can patch your control interface. You risk your life to free a monster, Zereth warned. Maybe we're both just tired of cages. Sparks flew as Elias bridged the wires. Deep within the dragon's core, something awakened, a pulse that shook the floor. Suddenly, alarms blared through the corridors. The sigils on the walls flared red. Containment breach detected. Cell 9X, dragon containment compromised. The guards stormed in. But before they could fire, Zereth's eyes ignited with molten fury. Plasma arcs surged from his mouth, vaporizing the metal bars. The entire chamber erupted into chaos. Elias ducked for cover as Zereth smashed through the ceiling, molten rock raining down. The guard screamed as the dragon's wings tore through the fortress. Elias, the dragon roared. Climb onto my back. He hesitated only a moment before leaping onto Zereth's armored spine. The creature soared upward through tunnels of fire and steel, bursting into the open sky. Above them stretched the black void of space. Beneath, the entire Dominion fortress, a volcano-shaped citadel, burned with alarms and gunfire. The Draker fleet rose to intercept them, plasma cannons flashing across the horizon. We won't make it, Elias shouted over the roar of engines. We will, Zereth growled. Hold tight, human. They dodged the first volley, but plasma bolts grazed Zereth's wings, searing through his mechanical plating. The dragon roared in agony, twisting midair. Elias clung desperately, his hair whipping in the wind of the upper atmosphere. Then Zereth folded his wings and dove. The Draker ships followed, assuming madness. But the dragon wasn't fleeing. He was ascending toward the planet's core, a molten sea of energy. Zereth! Elias screamed. That's suicide. No, the dragon rumbled. It's freedom. As they plunged through clouds of ash, Elias realized what Zereth intended. The dragon's plasma heart could overload, creating a shockwave powerful enough to obliterate the fortress, but also destroy himself in the process. You'll die, Elias cried. You can't. You fixed me, Zereth said softly. Now let me fix the world. Elias tried to override the dragon's core through the neural interface, but Zereth blocked him. Live, human mechanic. Tell them dragons were not born monsters. They were made into them. The world turned white, ending the last mechanic. Elias awoke again, weightless, drifting to the debris field above Karis 4. His suit was cracked, oxygen low, but he was alive. The Dominion fortress was gone, obliterated, along with half the fleet. The explosion had carved a brilliant scar into the planet's crust, glowing like the breath of a dying god. He drifted among the ruins for hours before a human scavenger ship picked up his distressed beacon. When they pulled him aboard, the crew stared at him like they were seeing a ghost. You're from the Dominion prison rings, their captain said. How did you escape? Elias looked through the viewport at the shattered world below. A dragon set me free. Over the next months, Elias joined the resistance that was quietly rising across the outer colonies. He became a symbol, a human who had survived the Dominion's deadliest weapon. But he never spoke of Zereth's sacrifice, except in private. Using his mechanic skills, he began rebuilding, creating small ships, shielding, even weapons forged in the wreckage of Dominion tech. Each design bore the same insignia, a dragon's eye with a broken chain. One evening, as he worked in his hangar, his scanners detected a faint energy pulse, weak, rhythmic, familiar. He followed across the wreckage fields until he found it, a shard of cybernetic scale, glowing faintly with life. He touched it, and a small projection flickered to life, a golden eye, watching him. Elias Wren, said Zereth's voice, faint but clear. They could not kill the fire. Tears blurred Elias's vision. You're alive somewhere. Not alive as you know it, Zereth said, but my essence remains, scattered through the stars. Build, human, forge the dawn. Then the projection faded, leaving only the quiet hum of the wind across metal. Years later, Elias became known as a Forge Master, the first human to build a new kind of dragon. Not flesh and metal, but spirit and code. His creations patrolled the liberated colonies, protectors instead of conquerors. And in every mechanic shop, every rebel hangar, people whispered the same legend. They tossed a poor human mechanic into their deadliest dragon cell, and instead he came out with a dragon soul.